Right. You want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yes, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you both for being here today. My name is Samantha Maldonado. I am a dietetic intern with Complete Business Dietetic Internships, and I was matched to the spring 2019 match thanks to my Get Match coach, Kristen Carley. The time has gone by extremely fast. So I just want to again say thank you for being here. And then go ahead, Devin, introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Devin Pena. I am currently a dietetic intern with Wellness Workdays. I chose Wellness Workdays because of their virtual clinical rotation. Pretty awesome. I'm in Hawaii, so not a lot of clinical sites. But I love to get matched coaching for numerous reasons, which we're going to dive into today. So happy that you are here. And if you wouldn't mind keeping your mics muted and then asking any questions that you might have that come up in the chat, we'll make sure that we spend a lot of time answering them towards the end.
Perfect. So I guess I'll start with my story. So I decided to get a Get Match coach because my GPA was extremely low. If I'm being honest, my science GPA was a 2.7 and then my overall was a 3.0. I think my biggest challenge was the lack of confidence. I was thinking there was no way I'm going to get matched with my GPA. And I also had to retake biochemistry 2 times. So I was just overall just really scared, really doubtful, and I had no sense of direction with how to go with the DICAS application and how to make myself stand out without my whole application revolving around my low GPA. So of course I've been following All Access Dietetics on Instagram for a while, and I decided to schedule my free 15-minute call with Jenny. And I was just telling her all of my different issues that I've been having. And she just let me know that none of that really mattered because they will be able to tailor my application towards all of the positives that I've been doing. So like all of my volunteer work, being persistent, even if I failed biochem and had to take it again, they're like, you still persisted through and you didn't stop until you passed the class. So I didn't think about it like that until I did the call and met with my Get Match coach. Another big thing for me was that I was really worried about the cost of coaching. But luckily, Susan was able to work with me as well as Jenny and give me a payment plan that I felt really comfortable with. So if you guys are worried about that, don't worry. They will find something that works for you. They are really customer service, customer experience based, and they're here for you and to help you succeed. The last thing they want to do is see you fail. So anything that's going to help you do better and get matched and become a registered dietitian, they will do for you. Trust me. So like I mentioned, my Get Match coach is Kristen Carley. We started in July, and I was applying for the February deadline. And I would say it's never too late. It was a great experience doing it much earlier because then I could ask her questions for as many months as I wanted to, but it's never too late to start coaching. It was great having her there for accountability and setting small goals each week. If it wasn't for her, I probably would have waited until November to start the application when things slow down in school. But I'm lucky and happy that I started during the summertime because then it just gave me the ability to really take advantage of all of the perks that come with Get Match coaching. And then another big thing that she helped me with was my personal statement. I didn't feel like my writing skills were the best. So she really helped me draft up some great ideas, focus on my strengths. And then another big thing that she mentioned is tailoring your personal statement to each internship that I was applying to so that they can know why I want to be a part of that specific internship. So those are really some of the big things that I was enjoying during my coaching experience and the reason why I did Get Match coaching. And I'm so happy I did because even with my low GPA, I was able to get matched on the first round. So if you have a low GPA or if you're worried about your GPA or retaking a course, don't worry about it. You will still get matched. You just have to be really strategic on your application.
Nice. So I'll go ahead and tell my story. I chose to get match coaching because I'm entering into this career field a little bit older. I wouldn't say that I'm old, but I am in my early 30s. And I went to college right after high school, but I did not get good grades, and those carried with me. I did get some academic forgiveness, but not a whole bunch. So I was worried about that impacting my GPA and how that would look for DICUS. Overall, like, I worked so hard in my undergrad. My GPA was, I graduated from Kansas State with a 3.93, and I was super stoked about that. But I was so worried that there would be something on my application after working so hard that would prevent me from getting matched. And so for me, it was worth every penny to know that, like, I had a super strong DICUS application, that everything looked good, that it would look good to, the internships, because I did not want that to be the barrier to entry to doing what I wanted to do, which is becoming a registered dietitian. We work so hard, and that one application could be something that prevents us from getting to where we want to be. So I was following All Access, and I had my call with Jenny, and she kind of, gave me some stress relief and some reassurance that if I chose to sign up with Coach, that they would be able to work with me on all the things that I was worried about. And so I decided to make the jump, and Susan works with me as well for a payment plan that I felt confident with, just because there are a lot of investments that we're making throughout our undergrad, but if my whole kind of philosophy is that if we want to be good at something and maybe don't have all of the tools to do it ourselves, we need to reach outside the box for someone that can give us those tools. So having that payment plan was very helpful, but honestly, the support that Susan provided for me during this journey was invaluable. She gave me an entire outline of when we should start working on certain aspects of the DICUS application. And I started during the summer as well. So I didn't wait until we got close to match time, just because I wanted to make sure that I had everything kind of prepared ahead of time. And she was great about giving me a timeline, telling me, here's when I think that we should work on your personal statement. Here's when I think we should work on your resume. Not only that, if something was coming up, she'd shoot me a reminder email and just be like, hey, I haven't seen this yet. Are you working on it? How's it going? And if I had questions, she was right there. Sometimes we would even text, and, just because she knew that I was busy, I'm also a mom and a wife. So she knew I had a lot on my plate, and the text message support was super helpful for me. With the personal statement at Kansas State, there was this workshop where we could share personal statements with each other and give each other feedback. But when you're doing that, you can't help, just as human, to compare yourself to other people's stories and to think like, oh, mine doesn't measure up, who would want me as an intern after reading this story? And so that was one of the greatest things that Susan provided me with, was when I sent over my personal statement, she really showed me how to showcase myself. And that focus was just on me. It was just on me as an intern, because talking about yourself and like writing all of your accomplishments, it can be very uncomfortable to do. So having another set of eyes to really look that over and make sure that it sounds good and it looks good, is catered to, like Sam said, is catered to each internship that you're applying to. It can really just help kind of alleviate some of that stress. So, and then beyond that, like on my match day, I think Susan was just as happy for me as I was for myself, which was really great, because not a lot of people understand this profession and how difficult it is to get matched and how difficult it is to go through all of the work that we go through. So to have someone that's in that circle know, the links that you went to complete this application and all the work you did in your undergrad, and then them just be just as excited as you are, that was really amazing to me. So get match coaching was worth every minute of time, every penny for me.
Yeah, they're basically like your coach and your cheerleader, because they're
Yes.
just as happy. I remember reaching out to Kristen when I got matched, and I was like, I match, and she like sent me all these emojis and exclamation points, and she's just as excited for me. And like Devin mentioned, it really was worth every penny, because I can honestly say that I did not feel very stressed out during the process.
Mhm.
I was so close to not applying, because I was like, this is going to be way too stressful to do while taking classes, while not knowing what to do with the application. So that was just so amazing that I could do it, still focus on my classes, and then still get matched the first round. And then, like I said, I didn't think I was going to apply, and I'm so happy that I did, because all I could think is I could sit here and invest in myself now, or I can keep putting it off and make it, and it might never happen, or I could just sit here and invest in myself now, and I don't have to waste another year, another semester, and I can start the internship and get my career going much sooner than expected.
Mhm.
So it was really great. I loved it. I love that we would set goals every week and we could just check them off, like, okay, she's like, this week we're going to work on your resume, review these 3 modules, work on this, and then let's check in on Friday. If you have any questions, let me know. So then that's like a little to-do list for yourself. And that extra accountability is so amazing because, when it's just you on your own, you like let little things go, you procrastinate a little while longer. But when you have that coach there, really just making sure that you're doing everything that they instructed you to do, it just makes the whole process a lot easier.
Yes, absolutely. Susan was, just a great resource to have. She also helped me network too, which was awesome because being in Hawaii, I'm limited in clinical locations, especially with COVID happening. And so she connected me with other dietitians at this point who had done their internships here or were from the island that I'm on, Oahu. And that was really helpful to hear their experience so that I could kind of prepare myself for when I got matched, if I got matched, and what clinical would look like for me, which is what ultimately helped me choose Wellness Workdays as my top choice, because I knew that there wasn't there from the networking and the people she connected me with, I knew there wasn't a lot of options available for me here. A lot of people that even lived here left island to go do their internships elsewhere because they just weren't able to get the rotations. And so going through the internship catalog that All Access has and finding out who does virtual clinical rotations and things like that helped me narrow down my list, helped me pick my spots. And really, with Susan's help and like her coaching, I applied for 3 programs and I got those hint, hint, wink, wink emails from all 3 saying they didn't say it, but they insinuated that if I put them as number 1, they would match me. So for all 3 programs to do that, because of the investment that I made in making sure my application looked amazing, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, just to have that and to have that assurance and that security. So it was pretty amazing. And with program choice, that was also one of the most wonderful things that Susan helped me with. Was she really helped me find out what my program emphasis, what I wanted it to be, which was sports nutrition, which is also what Wellness Workdays offers. So it's kind of like a perfect fit for that. And then kind of narrowing it down for a couple other programs, just in case. And that was awesome. And her connecting me to like the directors and helping me like draft those emails up so that they looked good and they sounded good and it wasn't just like a scrambled mess, which when you're nervous to send email or like you're just typing one, you're like, should I say this? Should I say this? Okay, should I change this? Just having her look everything over to tell me like, that sounds great, or let's change this a little bit. This does sound a little bit, nervous. So that was really cool too.
Yeah, and having those insider tips of being a coaching client was amazing, because if I did the process on my own, I would have never reached out to directors. And that was one big tip that really stood out. And I would type up the email like Devin would, and I would send it to Kristen and be like, hey, how does this sound? And she would proofread it or change some things around so that when I emailed the directors I was interested in, I sounded confident, I sounded knowledgeable. I didn't ask questions that were already on the website. So it was really nice. And I feel like that's another big reason why I matched to the program that I matched to, because me and the director formed a connection. We did an initial phone call. We would email back and forth a lot. So that's how I knew that was going to be my number 1 choice, because I really liked the concentration. I had a relationship with the director, and my coach just set me up so that I could tailor my application to be really out there for that program. So I'm really glad I was able to match to Complete Business for that reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I was having the most trouble with when completing like my application was getting my resume down to one page. I could not format it right. I could not get it to fit one page, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And so, but I sent it to Susan and I was like, here's what I have. And she sent it back on one page, and like everything was organized in the right spots. And I was like, you are magic. How did you do that? And she just changed the wording on a couple things to like just make it sound a little bit better, a little more attractive. And it was like, wow, I have an impressive resume and I didn't even know it. Like, that's really cool. And so just having that second pair of eyes and just someone to like help. And I know writing centers are available for some people, depending on what school you go to and things like that. But those writing centers, because I did utilize that with one of my schools, those writing centers they're not catered to DICUS. They're not catered to exactly what we're doing in this field. They don't necessarily understand how to make yourself look attractive. And I know that they work with like personal statements and things, but there are certain things in the DICUS application in your personal statement that you really want to showcase. And so having experts who know and who have done this and who, know what stands out in application and can really help you take all of the awesome things about yourself and turn them into, 1,000 words. That was just amazing. I would do it all over again.
I didn't think I was going to reach the 1,000 words. I'm like, what do I even say about myself for 1,000 words, That was really nice. Another thing that was great was narrowing down my choices for references. I was just gonna choose like any random professor that like I got an A in their class, but didn't really know me like that. So another great thing is that my coach sent me a template of questions to ask myself and answer so that I can know if my reference is going to be a great reference or not. So I thought that was super helpful too.
I forgot about that template. I used that as well. It was wonderful. And it really helped me I had a professor that I did a distance program. So I was not in person for most of my undergrad. I did a lot of my prerequisites in person, but most of my undergrad was distance. And so you don't have that like personal connection with your instructors. You just kind of have like, maybe we email once in a while. Like a lot of my lectures were recorded, or I wasn't able to attend live because I am in Hawaii and they were in Kansas. So that template helped me choose which professor, and it was my research professor. And we had a lot of back and forth a few times. And then it was great because I asked her to be my reference. And then when I went in person to Kansas for my graduation, I got to meet her. And she specifically came to the like meeting that we had with the DPD just because she saw that I was going to be on the list of people that were there, and she knew she wrote a reference for me. So like also helped form that connection too, which was cool. And then I honestly had no idea who else to use. And I used to do these seminars when we lived in Japan about the food in Japan and things like that for spouses. And so I was like, or Susan said, used to do the seminar. What about the director of that seminar? And I was like, oh, that's a professional reference. I didn't even think about her. Yes, great. Like it just helped me think outside the box and not just in my little circle of like, these are all my friends and family. They can't be a reference. They can't be professional. That's not going to work. So it was really helpful.
Definitely. Yeah. Everything's been amazing so far. Like Devin said a few times, we would do it all over again because the process was so easy. And to say that about diecast, I'm like, I would never expect myself to say that diecast was easy at all. And then I'll never forget D&D Digital. I remember I recorded myself when I got my results and I sent it to my friend and he was like, you don't even look like you were surprised. And I was like, honestly, I wasn't. I felt so confident in my application that I didn't experience any of the things that I thought I was going to experience the day of, because people would always be like, yeah, I didn't eat that whole day. I couldn't sleep. And then here I was like eating just fine, went to sleep regular hours, slept through the night. And then match day was just like any other day. And I just felt like I just knew like 100% like I was going to get matched. I said all their insider tips, everything that we went through together, their final diecast review, just everything made it so easy, and I just knew.
That final diecast review honestly was amazing because there was a couple things that I had forgotten about. And I think about if I would have pressed submit and not put those in there, like what would have happened? But because I was able to take that application and show it to Susan and have her review it and her come back and say, hey, don't press submit yet. You need this, this, and this. And I was like, I can't believe I almost forgot those things. Like,
Mhm.
wow, thank you for that. Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
That was definitely a great resource to have. Match day. So I remember when I submitted my application, my husband and my daughter were with me. And then when I match day, like I had to wake up super early because it, you know, time zone differences. And my husband was gone. He was at training. And so I had him on FaceTime and I was looking and I cried. And he was like, "Are you crying because you got matched? Or are you crying because it's 6 o'clock in the morning?" I was like, probably a little bit of both. But I also felt very confident, you know, that I would be matched. It was just very like exciting to have it, you know, right in front of me and to be able to experience that. And then again, like he wasn't here. My daughter's too little to understand what match day is. And so to be able to reach out to Susan and be like, "I got matched," and have her just like be so excited, that was really cool. That support was awesome.
Yeah, overall, it was just an amazing experience because, like I said, I didn't think I was going to apply. So just sitting there in front of my computer, being matched the first time, which I also didn't expect if I was going to apply, was just, I feel like that's probably why I was so shocked. I'm like, wow, this really just happened. Okay, now I'm gonna keep going on with my day. Like,
Yeah. um, what were things that like you were worried about before signing up?
so before signing up, I would just hear so many like scary stories about how difficult diecast is to fill out in general and just getting all of the materials for it. And then forgetting like supplemental materials from the websites from the internships you're interested in. So just really forgetting things, not knowing where to start, and then my personal statement 100%. So it was a lot of things.
Yeah. No,
What about you?
I mostly was worried about my personal statement. I was like, I don't know how to talk about myself for 1,000 words. I don't
Mhm.
know what I'm supposed to showcase here, how I'm supposed to tell my story to make
Mhm.
it true, genuine, but also impactful. I was like,
Right.
I don't know how to do that. Um,
Yeah.
so having that was really great.
Mhm.
Did you ask Jenny like any questions when you guys had your call that they might have?
Yeah, I just asked her like what was included in Get Match coaching, how they could help me specifically, because I just didn't think even if I had a low GPA that having a like if I didn't think having a coach and having the GPA that I had was going to make a difference. So she just said that most people in their personal statement put their weakness as their GPA. She's like, no, let's turn it around. Let's look at a weakness that you're working on to make it look like it's not really something to worry about. So then for me personally, it's my Spanish. So I'm Hispanic, but I can understand it, I can write it, but then speaking it, I'm kind of like, but I'm working on it. So that was the weakness that I ended up putting. But if I did it myself, I would have wrote about my GPA and probably just threw everything off. So
Mhm. That was a good tip that I learned. Like
mhm.
only put GPA in there if you have to.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, do any of you that are on here have some questions for us? The full price of Get Matched coaching. So I know that when we record, we like anybody watching the recordings won't be able to see the questions and stuff. So I'm going to read the questions out loud when we get them, or Sam, you can. But the full price of Get Matched coaching, I am unsure. I'm going to
I
look on
pulled
the
it up.
website right now.
Looked it up
Oh,
while when she
okay.
asked that question while you were telling your story. So it's $2,688.
Yes. And I think that like if you're signed up for all access emails, they do have like coupons that come out sometimes or like deals and things like that. But again, if you have a specialized situation, they will work with you on your payment plan. So even if the payment plan isn't on the website, they should still be able to work with you to what works best for you to spread out that investment. That's what they did for me. The payment plan that I used wasn't on the website. And Susan just offered it to me because she knew that I really wanted to do this, and she didn't want finances to be a barrier of entry for me. So that was really, really amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Yolanda said, I'm preparing to apply for this spring match. Good luck, Yolanda. I hope that it all goes well.
Yes, I
And
have a question.
Yeah.
yes,
Hello.
Hi.
I really loved how both of you spoke about the DICUS process. I just have a question. I'm currently a student that's enrolled in the Master's in Nutrition program, but I do not plan to apply to DICUS. I only plan to apply after, like during the Master's program, we have to apply to the internal application for it's like an internal internship program that the school
Mhm.
offers. So I plan to only apply to the internal one due to like financial reasons because it's cheaper, it's close to my house and it's more convenient. But
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering, would this program also be like beneficial for that type of program? Do they also work with students that are only applying to like internal applications within their university?
I don't have the answer to that question for you right now, but let me reach out and I can get that answer for you.
Thank you.
I should have it before the end of this.
Yes. I also have another question. Does this program also like do does like for example Susan or someone, do they help with like help you like strategize with like your extracurriculars and like activities, like help you strategize like what else should I start volunteering with, or what else should I start doing, so like you can have like a story to them write on your personal statement?
Yeah, that's a great
Yes.
question. So for me, a few tips that they told me is that internships don't really like when you're doing so many different things. They like to see you at one place for a long time because that shows that you're committed and that you must be doing really great work. If you do have little experiences here and there that aren't super long, that's fine too, as long as it's a little bit diverse. So for me, for example, I worked at a private practice. I was a sports dietitian, like intern. I did some stuff with food service, helping at a middle school. So if you get a little bit of everything, like in a community setting, food service setting, that would probably be really helpful. What would you say, Devin?
Yeah, so because I was a distance student, I didn't have a whole lot of extracurriculars to add. I wasn't involved in any like student committees or anything like that. And so Susan really helped me take what I was involved in, I was involved in some of the distance programs that they offered and alumni clubs and things like that. And so she really helped me showcase those in the best way possible to make it look like, even though I wasn't super active on campus, I was still doing things outside of it. And that was great. There was a lot of things that she had me put on there that I didn't even think about putting on there. That was really helpful.
Yeah, that's a great point too. My coach really helped me bring out what I did at my job, which I didn't think was that important working at the front desk, but she made it known that I worked with other professionals at my job and made it known that I would do a lot of customer service experience type of work, which is also really helpful to have in the dietetic internship. So if you do work full time or you work part time and you haven't been able to get a lot of experience outside of that, then they can definitely bring out all of the good stuff from your job too and make it like apply to the dietetic internship.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. But also, like right now due to the pandemic, like, a lot of us, we haven't really had like opportunities to be involved in like clinical dietetics, like shadowing a dietitian or working with a dietitian in a clinical setting, like in a hospital. And sometimes in the application they ask what clinical experience you have, like in the boxes they say they ask you to fill out that. So I'm just wondering, do the dietitians in this program, like the coaches, do they help you like set like network or set you up with a or connect you with a dietitian that you could help like shadow or volunteer with?
From my experience, they were great at helping with networking. I personally had no clinical experience. I lived in Japan for part of my undergrad, and the only hospital there that was available for a military family, they only took active duty military service interns and volunteers. So I couldn't get into volunteer with anybody. I couldn't get into shadow. So for me, I don't think it was a negative thing on my application. It wasn't too much, but Susan did help me network with other dietitians. And I do think that like, if I needed to ask them for, if I could come shadow them or if I could just work with them, even if it was just like virtual stuff, like they would have been willing to do that.
Yeah, and I also didn't have a lot of clinical experience. I worked at a hospital for 2 months, but it was like 1 hour, like every 2 weeks. That wasn't a lot. And I was just doing patient satisfaction surveys. I think it also could depend on the internship that you're applying for. If they're really clinical heavy, then they may want to see more of that experience. But if you don't want a internship that's too clinical heavy, then it might not matter. But again, like Devin said, they can help you get some connections if needed.
I did get an answer for the master's program applying to internal internships if All Access helps with that. And it is yes, they do help with that.
Okay, thank you so much, Samantha and Devin.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yolanda asked, do you start working with a coach soon after you sign up? Yeah, I had an email from Susan like the next day, like with an entire outline. I have it pulled up actually. It's welcome to Get Matched Coaching, Devin. And so it's like numbered items, like you've received emails for this, and then like everything, and then it includes everything included in my coaching package and how often she's going to reach out to me, all of those things. So, I mean, that was literally the day after I had my call with Jenny. Susan was in my inbox ready to go.
Yeah, I want to say same. So was Kristen, and then I think we scheduled our first like intro call, I think like 2 or 3 days after that. So it starts immediately.
Yes.
So that's great too. So then you can make the most out of your time.
Yeah. If you would want to apply, you'll want to ask, what if I need to apply for a program in January rather than February's deadline? Do a pre-select application. Would they help me in time? Yeah. So they're going to work on your timeline. Sam and I both signed up in the summer. And so we had months to get going. And so we had like a more flexible timeline, which is like weekly goals and things like that. But if you sign up now, they're going to cater your experience to your timeline. So if you need to get things done in like the next, 8 weeks, they're going to make sure that you get it done and that you have all the support and help that you need to get there, and everything is returned to you in a timely manner. I know I would send Susan like my personal statements or my resume drafts, and she had them returned to me within, 48 hours with all the corrections and like everything fixed. So the timeliness of the service is just amazing. I never stressed like, oh, I hope I get it in time. I was always like, there it goes. I know I'll get it back pretty soon. And
yeah,
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It would never take more than 48 hours, like ever.
Ever.
So you don't have to worry about that. And then even if you're doing it in less time, just because we did it in like 5 or 6 months, doesn't mean what you're going to get in 8 weeks is any less than what we got at all.
No, they make sure that they genuinely care. That's the thing. Like they want to see you get matched. They know how hard it is because you're working with dietitians. You're working with like people that have been in your situation and know the stress that you're in. And that's also cool because you're connecting with someone who can really relate to you in so many ways. And can remember their journey of going through their internship or, applying and internships and all of that. So it's really great. Is there another similar assistance being offered for less money? I went on All Access's site to see, if they have another service or like a course or something, and I would just reach out to them specifically and tell them your situation. Because just talking to them and getting them to answer your questions or see if you could work something out on it, they're going to be so helpful and so supportive. Like it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey, where you're at with your finances, they're going to try to figure out some way to get you the support that you need, whether it's like a custom package or something like that. I do believe that, again, they genuinely care. So they want you to succeed. Yolanda said, Devin, I actually know some peers that are interns in the same program as you, Wellness Workdays. I'm looking into applying for that one as well. What would you say you like the most of it? Also, are the rotations in person? I live in Los Angeles and want to stay local. Also, are you doing your master's? I'm from Orange County, so that's cool that we're not too far away from each other, California-wise. I love Wellness Workdays because they're flexible. They have the part-time option, they have the full-time option. I chose full-time because I have been going to school for 8 years, and by the time I sit for my exam, it'll be 9 years, and I'm ready to be done. So I did choose to go full-time. They allow you to pick your preceptors and get everything set up. So my food service rotation was in person, but the rest of my rotations, I'm doing the sports nutrition entrepreneurship focus. My community rotation and my clinical rotation are all going to be virtual. But I did do part of my virtual clinical rotation with Kristen Carley, who is Sam's coach. So that was also really cool, was that Susan set me up with her because she knew how hard it was for me to get those clinical hours. So she connected us, and then Kristen agreed to take me on as an intern for 4 40-hour weeks. I should say that 5 times fast. But so that was a really cool aspect of it too. I do recommend wellness workdays for the flexibility and for the virtual clinical hours. I personally don't have any goals to be a clinical dietitian, so it worked for me. If I did want to be a clinical dietitian, I probably would have really tried to get those in-person hours. Awesome. Thanks. So they reply fast. They do reply very fast. And I'm very thankful for that. I also want to emphasize that like Susan allowed me to text her because she knew how busy I was. And so that support was really great. Jessica said, I wouldn't be graduating until fall of 2023. When should I sign up? If you wouldn't graduate until fall of 2023, then Jessica, are you looking to participate in the fall match or the spring match? I guess that would be the question. How do you set up? Okay, cool. Sam, you got that one. Question was, how do you set up an appointment with Jenny? And Sam said, send Jenny an email and she will get back to you ASAP. And her email is jenny@allaccessdietetics.com. And just reading these all out because it won't save in the recording. And we want to make sure everybody gets everything out of this, even if they weren't able to attend live. Let her know that you are interested in learning more about coaching. Yep, Jenny is fantastic.
How long does the coaching last?
Until you get matched.
But is there like a length of time, like I believe I was reading like 1 month, 1 year and 8 months, the program lasts?
I think that might have been for like a payment plan of some sort, but I know that like get matched coaching, the purpose is to get you matched. And so once you're matched, then it was fulfilled. But it really like they're with you so if you sign up and you don't have 6 months until you're matched, then they're with you for the 6 months. But if you sign up and you have 2 months until you're matched, then they're with you for that 2 months. But like you always have their support after. I still, even after I matched, I still chatted with Susan pretty frequently just to say hey, and for her to check in and see how things were going, especially because she knew I was about to graduate.
So let's say if you do it ahead of time, like 1 year, 2 years, you would pay the same thing and you get the same amount like of assistance.
Yeah, to my understanding, yeah.
Even though it's not really recommended to do it out that long, since your experiences are going to keep changing, then you're going to have to keep updating stuff over and over and over. So it might not be worth it doing it that long out.
Yeah, I'd say like six months is a good amount of time to get going. But if you are gonna, apply for spring match and you need to submit the application in February and it's November, like you're still going to get an amazing experience out of 8 weeks or so.
Yeah.
How was it that your coach was able to narrow down emphasis options, and how did you know that their recommendations were the right ones? So the way that Susan did it for me was she just asked me what I wanted to do once I became a registered dietitian. What were my dreams? What were my goals? And I currently run a nutrition and fitness coaching business. And I wanted to continue doing that. We work with a lot of athletes. And so I wanted to make sports nutrition my emphasis because I love what I do in that aspect. So because she knew that side of things and she knew that I ran a business, it really helped narrow down sports nutrition and entrepreneurship through Wellness Workdays because it was both things in one. And there was a couple other programs that I applied for or that, were top choices as well, but their emphasis wasn't as strong as Wellness Workdays for me, so that was how she helped. They also have a huge database of like all internships and everything that they give you access to. So you can literally shop a catalog and know the location of them and know if their distance and know what like their minimum GPA requirement is and how many spots they have. And all the things.
concentration and
Mhm.
price, just so many great things. And then I think for me, I'm so grateful she helped me narrow down my choices, because when I was looking around, I didn't look at GPA, I didn't look at concentration, I didn't look at anything. I was just like, what's nearest to me? And I didn't
Yeah.
think about how like that was going to impact my match day at all. So she was like, okay, let's take a look at your GPA, let's take a look at your interest. And then she would send me a list of places that she thought that would be a good fit for me. And then I would look into them. And then ultimately I would be the one that made the top 3 choices, but she would still give me her input on which one she thought would be best for me and my chances of getting matched.
Yeah. Was there anything you didn't know you had to do for Get Matched that you realized with the coach? I guess I really didn't know like how my personal statement should go. Like I really did not know that. So I had like a draft that I had worked on with that Kansas State workshop with the other DPD students, and we passed it around and everyone's kind of looked good. And then when I sent it to Susan and got my redraft, it was totally different. It still was me, and she still wanted me to make sure it was my voice and like my experience, but it was just very different than what I had been working on. So I look at like my draft and I look at what I actually submitted, and I'm like, wow, those are 2 very different pieces of work that I did. So I think that was something that I just didn't realize that like I needed to focus on and put so much emphasis into personally.
For
What about you,
me,
Sam?
yeah, for me, I think it was just the little details, like even in the introduction part of your diecast application, like writing everything out, like instead of writing CT for my address, write court, like writing like all these little details that you wouldn't think about. And then when to ask for my transcripts and the margin lines on my resume, like what the directors look for in your resume, and just small details that I would never think about because I'm not always the most detail oriented person. So that was great having the coach to let me know about those things too.
Yes. I remember I was putting all, because you have to submit your transcripts, and then in that case, you also have to put in your classes. So you have both things. And I did not do a couple things right in there. And Susan went in and she was like, hey, we've got to go through and fix all of this. And that was one of the things, like, I think if I submitted that, I had my like classes, not like the numbers weren't right. Like, and I'm like, would that have affected me? I don't know, but I don't have to wonder because Susan fixed it for me. Like she helped me fix it. So it was
I
details.
completely forgot about that part. I forgot that was probably the most tedious part, is putting in all of your classes, how many credits, writing out you have to write out the whole name, not the abbreviated name of your classes, like how it shows up on your transcript. So going on to like my university website, pulling the name, writing it down, making sure that I include every class. Oh my gosh. I think Kirsten found like so many mistakes in there because you're looking at your transcript in these little letters, and then they'll go back and review it for you and find some stuff that you missed. So that was nice too.
Yeah. Did they get you in contact with people? What resources did they tell you about or show you? I think that is my biggest concern at the moment. I don't know what I want to do specifically with my dietetic career. I think we might have answered that because you said perfect, thank you. But yeah, they gave us a ton of resources beyond just, those, what did I call it? Catalog of internships and things like that. If I didn't know what I wanted to do, I guarantee Susan would have had a whole like brainstorming session with me to really go over what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, and help me decide the future of my career to really help us figure out what internship would have worked for me best. But I went into it kind of already knowing, but I do understand like there's so many careers that we can have as dietitians, so many, and the possibilities are endless. And so for you to not know, like not have it narrowed down is totally understandable. My personal advice is to take some time and figure out like which classes you're in that you're super into. And that's really going to help you. Like I loved nutrient metabolism and I loved how like it affected the body, and to take that and apply it to like a sports, setting and think about athletes and how they use, macros and minerals and vitamins and all that. Like that was fascinating to me. And so I knew that was where I wanted to be because I could listen to it all day long, like, right, and never get bored. but there
Another
are
great way
other.
to think about it. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're totally fine. Go ahead.
Another great way to think about it is, for me, I thought about, okay, what didn't I learn in school, or what didn't they teach us enough of that I was really interested in or want to learn more about, and that's how I kind of narrowed down the concentration. So for Complete Business, they have us do business plans. We do a lot of marketing stuff and accounting, and it's just things that if you want to be a business owner or in general as a dietitian, you have to create like all this marketing material for yourself, like for your job or like for your own business. So I was like, I don't have a lot of experience in that. I want to learn more. I want to learn more about content creation. So that's how I ended up choosing my program. So even going through programs, concentrations, and being like, oh, that's of interest to me, and I didn't learn that at all, or I didn't learn much of that, maybe you should go into that program and so you could learn more, because it is really a big learning experience.
Yes, absolutely. Did they revise your diecast application with you, like sharing screen? Susan didn't share her screen with me. I downloaded the application and I sent it to her, and she just sent me back her feedback of like what I needed to fix. And she was very direct with it. So like, I didn't feel like she needed to share her screen. She just specifically told me like which sections. And so that was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here.
Do they also help you know which dietetic internship is the best choice, although you may want one, for example, but isn't really for you or the best choice? They're going to give you your feedback. Susan gave me her feedback about what she thought was going to be best for me, and continued almost up until I needed to make those final choices, giving me options that she thought might suit me without overwhelming me. So there's so many internships out there. There's so many. That catalog really showcases them if you are able to get into it. And so she gave me her feedback, but ultimately it's going to be your choice. They're not going to choose for you. Both I liked one and she really liked the other. And so they ended up being my top 1 and 2 spot, but I still put the one that I really wanted as my number 1. And that's okay, because it's your internship, it's your career at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I feel like they give you enough advice that you are gonna end up making the right choice either way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you should worry about that at all. You're definitely gonna feel confident in your decision. Because like I said, I started in July, but I don't think I narrowed down my choices until like December. Me and Kristen would always be like, I'll be like, oh, I just found out about this program. I did more research into them. Like, what do you think? This is what I like about them. And then we would like break it down together. And we just send emails back and forth or talk over the phone about the program that I was interested in.
I didn't narrow mine down until like the week before I submitted my application. I was like, oh, I should probably do that. Okay. But it was nice because Susan did continue to give me her feedback up until, and I was like, okay, these are my choices. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to push them in. And it worked out.
Yeah.
So they offer help until you get matched. Whole process of like ranking, interviews. Yep. All of it.
It was awesome because with coaching, you also get a 45-minute interview prep call. So Kristen would like throw all these questions at me that I'm like, whoa, I need to take some time to prepare them. And then she would also give me questions that I would be like, oh, I can answer this. I feel confident about this. So then when you did go in for your interview, like you just feel so good about it because you've already been through a semi process of getting interviewed. So that was really nice too, to just be able to do like a mock interview with her and go through questions and then write down the questions that I really wasn't sure about and then practice them, like really think about them in case I was going to get asked those questions.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't have any interviews personally for the 3 programs I applied to, but I did have supplemental applications for each of them. So one of them I had to, like for Wellness Workdays, you have to record a video saying why you want to be a registered dietitian. So Susan really helped me come up with like an outline, and it can only be like 2 or 3 minutes long. So to put basically like my personal statement into a video and make it 2 or 3 minutes long, that was difficult, but Susan helped me outline it. There was also like, I had to answer a couple questions in an application for them. And so she helped me come up with my answers or like, just make them sound really good. I have a tendency to ramble and I do it when I write too. So, everybody here has seen, and so that was really helpful. I feel like that was interview prep, but in supplemental application form. So it was great.
And then they review your videos too. You can send it to them and let them give you feedback and if you should re-record it or if it's good to go. So that's nice too, to just know that somebody else is watching it before you send it off.
Yes, if you
That
need.
knows what they're doing and what the directors are looking for. So
Yes. Devin, is the program you are currently in paired with a master's, or is that optional? They do, Wellness Workdays does have masters that they're partnered with, master's degree program, but I didn't choose to do that. I have been in school for a very long time, and I don't know if I want to do my master's, and I know that that's not really going to become an option for a lot of people entering into the dietetics field. I may pursue that after, but I have a lot on my plate, so I chose not to go that route for my mental health.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose just to do the internship on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Another great thing is if you decide to go distance instead of doing a traditional program, is that your coach sets you up for success so much that when you start your internship, you most likely are probably already going to have all your preceptors lined up. And that's one less thing to worry about. Everybody else in my program is still missing their clinical or community, and they're going through their rotations, still trying to figure out how to fill their other ones. And that's like one stressor that I did not have to worry about. So that's awesome too.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. A lot of distance internships may not match with you if you do not have at least a majority of your preceptors set up. And so Susan told me that. And so we had everything lined up beforehand. I had done my food service class and worked with my daughter's school cafeteria with it for it. And she was like, hey, you already have a connection with them. Go ahead and reach out to them and see if they'll take you as an intern. So I did, and they were more than happy to do it because we did already have that connection. But I would have never thought of that. I would have been like, where can I go? What facility will take me? And then I was struggling to find community, and Susan said, you know, All Access takes interns. We'll take you. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
So it was really great to also have that in with them too, to be able to do that. And it's such a great team. I mean, I've been working with them for about 3 weeks now, and I feel like I'm part of their family, which is really cool. It is like a little family that they got going on. So, and then as far as clinical goes, we already knew we were going to run into some issues there. And so just to know that like I picked a internship that would help me with that was really great too.
Yeah. And directors are aware of everything that's going on with COVID. So if you submit your application and don't 100% have your clinical locked in, they'll understand too.
Yeah.
If you are thinking about doing a distance program.
Yes, that was the one that would Wellness Workdays was very understanding about because they knew how hard it was. And then, oh dang, I wasn't even aware you could start a program without all preceptors lined up. That's reassuring though. I would definitely check with the programs that you're wanting to apply for. But I do know that they're being a little bit more flexible with the pandemic and things like that, and know how hard it is to get into rotations because a lot of facilities aren't letting outsiders in, especially not interns. So
like, okay, if you just have one lined up, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as you have one and they know you're trying to look for them ahead of time, that's fine.
It's trying that they want you to try. It's if you're coming in and you're like, I have no preceptors and I'm not going to do anything about it, they're going to be like, yeah, when that's more work for us. No thanks. But yeah, I'm glad that could be reassuring for you. Does anybody else have any questions? Is there anything we didn't go over that you're still curious about?
Who do we email about this program?
Yeah, so let me put Jenny's email address one more. Let me see where I put it. So it would just be Jenny. She will answer any of your questions. So I went ahead and put that in the chat box for you, but it's just Jenny at allaccessdietetics.com for questions. And
I'm also going to put Susan's in here just because she's the director of operations. And so sometimes she might, if like, you know, you just want another contact to have, she can help you.
Or if you could just send them this email together, that would be even better. We'll get a reply even faster, even faster because they reply fast anyways.
But if you go to their website and like you're like, I'm ready to do this, they have like Get Match Coaching at the top and you can apply right on that page. Sam, I was scrolling down. I saw your face for your testimonial video. But yeah, pretty easy process. I don't think Jenny does the calls anymore, but Christian does, and he is absolutely amazing, and he will answer all of your questions too, and get you rolling into something that works best for you. He's one of the newest team members, and he's just absolutely fantastic. So, but yeah, I would definitely reach out to both Jenny and Susan first to see to see which way they would want you to go.
Yeah, so we have about 1 more minute left. Did anyone have any final questions?
You're welcome.
Being here.
Yeah, we're so happy that we could have you on here and to share experiences.
Yeah. You guys didn't leave us completely alone.
Nope.
And then I also just wanted to throw out there that we're going to be having a live Q&A on Instagram tomorrow. So if you wanted to get on that again, it'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just in case other people get on and ask questions that you may have forgotten about or didn't really think about. You can also join on our Instagram at All Access Dietetics.
You're very welcome. It was awesome to do this.
Not a problem.
All right. Well, if that's it, then we'll let you all go. Thank you so much for being here. And if you ever have any questions, I'm on Instagram, coach_devpena.fit if you want to reach out to me there. Sam's also on Instagram. Yeah, I'll put it in there. So yeah, love to connect, especially with students and other interns. Networking is really huge in this profession. So make contacts, make connections, and keep them.
Yeah, 100% get on LinkedIn and just start making those connections.
Yes, absolutely. Especially if you're looking for preceptors, just talking to other dietitians, hearing their experience and stuff, they're going to have your name in their head. And yep. Last question from Brianna. Go ahead. Is a LinkedIn absolutely necessary? I wouldn't say necessary, but I would say highly recommended. Highly recommended. Wellness Workdays, they have their professional group for interns and dietitians on LinkedIn, not anywhere else. So just something to think about.
Yeah, and it's another way to get your name out there to a director and letting them know you're interested by following them or the internships page too.
Yep. I connected with a lot of dietitians here in Hawaii when I was looking for clinical hours. And they're great connections to have since I'll be here for a while. So
Devin?
Yes.
Yes, was your first bachelor's, because you said you went straight from high school to undergraduate, was it also nutrition?
No, I didn't know what I wanted to do right after high school. I was 18 and I was, just living life. I didn't discover nutrition until I was 21. And that was when I decided to go back to school, but I didn't actually jump back into school until after I had my daughter. So, but I went to Kansas State and got a dual bachelor's in dietetics and human nutrition.
And then for me, I graduated high school in 2013 and then graduated this past in May. So so May 2021. So it's been a process too for me. I'm almost 27 now. And then I took a year off, switched my majors a few times, but I'm glad I ended up sticking with dietetics.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be.
Samantha, you were a full-time student?
I was full-time, part-time, one class, I was all over the place.
Oh,
same.
Yeah.
And Devin, you were full-time or part-time student?
I started off part-time when we lived in Japan because I was also working at 2 different gyms as a personal trainer. And it wasn't until we moved to Hawaii that I decided to jump into full-time of spring of 2020. And that was when COVID happened. My daughter was in kindergarten. So I was like, perfect. She's going to kindergarten and I can do my thing with school. And then they, shut down the schools. So I became a homeschool mom, a full-time student, and a business owner. all at the same time.
Oh, wow.
But I made it work. I made it work.
Do the program directors of the internships, like the admissions committee, though, do they care if like one is a part-time student? Because like, for example, you know, classes are expensive. Like in my case, I don't get scholarships. I'm paying out of pocket. So I just take like 1 or 2 classes because it's all I can afford. Like, do they care?
I don't think so. I think it just matters that, you know, you've gotten your degrees. I didn't have any pushback when they saw that I had done part-time and full-time, but I also like explained that a little bit in my personal statement. So they kind of knew why I had picked up the momentum towards the end of it. And that I think that was helpful. So that they had like some background information about like my life and why I went the route that I went.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so helpful.
I was so happy to hear that. But all right, we won't keep you guys any longer. If you have any more questions, though, we're happy to answer them. Sam will be on the Instagram live tomorrow on All Access Dietetics. And then if you have any questions for me, I gave you on my Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and you're free to message me there anytime.
Me too.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.